Good evening, everyone. Thanks for hanging on with us tonight. My name is Skylar Miller. I'm with the Greater Cincinnati Energy Alliance. This is Mark Carucci. He is with Icon Solar, so he's our solar expert tonight. And there we go. Probably going to speed this up just a little bit tonight because I know we have a hard stop at 7. So I want to leave a little bit of time at the end for any questions you may have. I will say that out in the this little entry area, there is an opportunity to sign up for a free solar assessment. If you have any questions about that after the presentation, again, happy to take them at that time. All right. Again, I'm with the Greater Cincinnati Energy Alliance. We are a nonprofit that's been operating in Cincinnati since 2009. We have a mission to be a leading driver of activities that sustainably reduce carbon emissions in the greater Cincinnati region. One of the programs, and the featured program tonight that we put on, is Solarize. Solarize is actually an annual campaign. What we do is we work with the local regional solar installers. We put out an RFP at the beginning of the year, a request for proposals, and basically we ask them to put their best equipment forward at the best deal possible. We ask them to sharpen their pencils. It's a competitive bid process, open to all of those installers. So basically we're trying to use economy of scale to get homeowners the best price possible on solar equipment and those installation services. Solarize also tries to package the program as much as possible, much like Icon's typical services. It's turnkey, white glove, what term you want to put on it. But essentially, all the heavy lifting is taken care of by the solar installers, so there's no ancillary costs or hidden costs associated with the program. The price that you're quoted is essentially what you're going to get. So let's keep this off. So by the end of tonight, I hope you have a better understanding of solar in Cincinnati, the benefits of the Solarize program itself, the installation process that you would go through with an installer, and how you can take the next steps through Solarize. All right, I get this question all the time. Is it sunny enough in Cincinnati? Okay, we have overcast days. We have long winters. The short answer is yes. There's plenty of sun, plenty of solar opportunity in Cincinnati region. If you take a look here, and I'm not sure how good my pointer is going to work on the pre-lit. Yeah, please Vanna White this for us, Mark. All right. So Mark's going to show us on the map where Cincinnati is. There we go. Okay. We're pretty much in the mid-range scale for solar production potential. This shouldn't be a deterrent being in the middle range. As you can see in the bottom right corner, that's Germany. Germany has the highest basically watt per capita of any country in the world. They've got the most solar per person in the country. Their solar production potential is much lower than our regions, and they still have found it to be a good renewable energy source. Okay. So Solarize, again, I started to talk about some of these, but essentially the way the process works is by signing up tonight or through our online portal at solarizecincy.org. You would put in your address. My staff, my team would actually look at the aerial photos of your home, try and do an initial assessment based on surrounding tree coverage, orientation of your roof, if there's the design of your roof, if you have dormers, all those little initial variables that we look at, and we try and size a solar system. All right, we try and place the panels on your system or on your roof. If you have enough room, we send you the results of that along with the initial data, and we send that information to one of our preferred solar installers. They are in turn will get in contact with you to schedule a free on-site assessment at your convenience. Okay. Again, because of the way we put the RFP out at the beginning of the year, you're getting discounted pricing. Typically, we've seen as much as 15 to 20% of a discount compared to market rate versus the Solarize discount. And again, that has to do with economies of scale and being able to essentially get in on bulk pricing, so to speak, or group purchasing power. High quality equipment. We'll talk about this in a little bit, but essentially we're asking them to put some of their best equipment forward. We're always looking for what we term as tier 1 equipment, and there's certain other programs throughout the country that have kind of set the bar for this type of program, and we're following suit. And of course, qualified solar installers. Through the RFP process, we are vetting the solar companies. So again, we're doing all the due diligence for the homeowner ahead of time. Okay. All right, so this is essentially what the free solar analysis is. We have some proprietary industry software, and essentially all I'm trying to do is to maximize the solar area. You're fine, sir. All right. Here's something to think about. Over the next 25 years, a typical homeowner is going to spend over $45,000 in electric bills. Okay, that's the money that you're sending to Duke over the next 25 years. This is based on the assumption that you're going to be using, on average, 900 kilowatt hours a month. Okay, so a typical family of 4, in a modestly sized home is going to probably even exceed that amount.
That's about $100 a month on your bill right now.
Yep. Okay. So instead of renting your production from Duke and putting all of that into the utilities pocket, why don't we take a portion of that and invest in our own electric production? So an 8.5 kilowatt system, which would roughly cover that 900 kilowatts, would cost on the market $25,000. You add in the bulk buying discount that Solarize offers, as well as take advantage of the federal tax credit that we'll talk about in more detail later. It's 30% of the total system cost. You're looking at, once you factor in the production over that 25-year period, you're actually looking at saving about $25,000, a little over $25,000. The federal tax credit that I just brought up, this is the residential renewable energy tax credit. There is a sunset on this, but as it stands today, for solar, and I will put in there also for geothermal applications, you can get a 30% tax credit on the total cost of the system. So if you put in a there you go. I was going to say 30. Yeah, thank you. So you get $6,000 back. Now this is a credit, not a deduction. So if for some reason you don't have the tax burden to receive that credit back all in 1 year, it does roll over for up to 5 years. And as I was saying, there is a sunset on it. For 2019, you can take advantage of the 30%. In 2020, it goes down to 26. Following year is 2020, and then it disappears. And as far as I know, there is no legislation being discussed in Washington right now to change those deadlines or to bring this program back. Okay. I also get the question of, well, what if I'm going to be selling my home before I realize the full production life of my solar panels? It's a good question because solar panels are a big upfront investment. What we're finding, especially in this area, is that you are going to recoup the cost of those solar panels. The Cincinnati region is now utilizing Green MLS, the listing service that realtors use. So you can actually list solar panels as a feature on your house. There's a whole green market in this region now. you're actually going to get better returns on investing in solar than you are updating kitchens and bathrooms. You will be able to recoup your money on those. Okay. Again, I just said it, solar is a big upfront investment. There are ways to finance that out. These are actually, Solarize does not offer any special financing. There are financing options through our solar installers, but specifically you can work with your bank, whatever your preferred lending institution is. KeyBank is highlighted here because they're known in the area for doing green loans. The other program that I'm putting up here is EcoLink. This is actually a program ran through the State Treasury Office. And essentially what they're doing is they're buying down the interest on the loan. You and your bank will be co-applicants to the state. And once you're approved in that program, there is a lien that's placed on the property for the value of the solar panel system, but that goes away after it's paid off. It also extends the term out to make those monthly payments a lot easier. Okay. And also keep in mind while you're making those monthly payments, you're not paying Duke a big electric, not cutting them a big check for electric. That's the best way to put it. Okay, I talked about Tier 1 equipment before. What we're saying is that it must be listed with Go Solar California. Go Solar California is a kind of a cutting-edge program for promoting and facilitating residential solar installations. It's essentially the gold standard at this point. So any panels that you get through the Solarize program are going to be listed with Go Solar California. At a minimum, the labor warranty and leak warranty on your roof is 5 years. There's minimal penetrations that I'll let Mark talk about in more detail, but essentially, the installers want to ensure that your roof's not going to leak. They don't want to come out and make those ancillary repairs to the structure of your home. That's right. So you're going to be taken care of there. Solar panels have multiple warranties on them. The biggest is a 25-year production warranty, at least 25 years, right? Yep. Okay. Basically, what that is just like any technology, whether it's the cell phone battery that's in your pocket, the electronics in your car, they do wear down over time. Okay, they're not going to perform as well on year 25 as they did the day they were installed. So you're going to be guaranteed that production will be at least 80%, and on some panels 85% by the end of the 25-year warranty. Okay. Also, microinverters. It's a piece of equipment that goes on the back of the panel, and it regulates the electric and converts it from DC to AC. It's an essential component, and the warranty is going to be matched with that solar panel. Okay, and I'm going to turn it over to Mark here. Icon Solar, founded in 2009. This is one of our local solar companies. Okay, you guys are in Milford, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so not too far away.
I know Dusty within a few miles of here as well. So
Yeah, that's right. So, yep. Yep.
All right, so we've been. Oh, I'm sorry.
Localist.
I'm usually not a microphone speaker.
Cameras like it. Yeah.
All right, I apologize. We've been in business since 2009, and that kind of makes us one of the old dogs in the industry. We have over, I think, 2,200 installations right now throughout Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky. But we've been doing Solarize Cincinnati for 3 years. We've done
This is our fourth year.
Fourth year?
Yep.
We've done it Solarize Indianapolis. We've done Solarize Muncie. We do this a lot because we want to make sure many people can get solar as possible because it's half the price you're going to spend anyway with your utility company. Everybody that gets on your roof to install has been NABCEP certified. It's the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners. Basically, it's the governing body for solar installers. I get ahead of myself sometimes. I apologize. I go to the next slide. I'm like, oh, I already mentioned all of this. But like he said earlier, we're full circle. We don't like to give you a hidden cost after we've already given you a quote. So the price I give you 99% of times is the final cost to install. Several slides about turnkey. Basically, we take care of everything that's involved, from permits to drawings to installation to the electrical work. You don't really have to worry about anything on on your end, including interconnection with Duke. 99% of our systems don't even have batteries because Duke offers net metering, which is something we didn't go over. But basically, when your house produces electricity with solar, and it's going to try to use it first, but your air conditioner may not be on, or you're not doing laundry at the moment, that extra power has to go somewhere. So it goes out into the grid, and your meter will spin backwards. Then at night, when the sun's not shining, you can pull that energy back at really no cost.
There's net metering slides.
Oh, is there? Okay. I expect that, that's the question we get a lot, how solar works. This is, oh, okay. I'm used to doing this with a copy of my bill.
That's all right.
So, typical electric bill, how many people actually look at the little numbers when you go through the bill? So many people just get the bill, look at that number at the top, and write a check. When we size the system, we take a look at your bill, and look, bottom right there is the average kilowatt hour use per month. 1,700?
Yep.
Okay. That's a little on the high side compared to the average, but not unheard of. But as you can see, I could take one look at that bill and say they have gas, well, obviously gas heat, but there are higher bills for electricity during the summer. So solar, I just kind of went over it, sits on your roof, collects sun rays, converts those photons of light into direct current electricity. They go through the inverter, which converts it to alternating current. That's what the house uses. And then it goes directly into your electrical panel. It will feed those circuits first. The only time it'll go out into the grid is if you don't need that power. Which means basically if you're producing yourself, you're not buying it. Does anyone have any questions about net metering? Because this is kind of how it works, how it saves you money. Because obviously right now the solar outside would be humming right now.
I did have another question. So you mentioned that bill had, like I do, gas for heat.
Yes.
And then rest electric. So is there an advantage to converting to gas heat, like a heat pump, and this system so that you're not spending?
It can be. It's an individual basis on that one. It's hard to say because electric heat is a very inefficient way to create heat in general. Just the bills go way up in the winter sometimes.
I'll take this a little bit. So how old is your gas furnace?
Going on
12, 15 years? Okay. One thing I would say is if you had solar and you had capacity for that load, one thing you could consider is direct air source heat pump. Okay, as your primary heating source. That would also replace your AC as well. So think of it as an AC in the summer and a reverse AC in the winter. Okay, where you're actually pulling cold air out of, you're pulling heat from outside during the winter and bringing it in. And it's those small incremental heat exchanges that allow you to keep a home warm most of the time in the winter. And since you already have that gas connection and you have a serviceable furnace, you could use that as a backup. So.
And the other thing, at the end of the month, you get a credit on your Duke account. That's how it works in Ohio. Equal to how much you overproduced if you did that month. That's a monetary credit. That can apply to your gas side as well, possibly, depending on how much electricity you use in the meantime.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So I didn't realize the mic wasn't on. You're good. Go ahead.
I get questions all the time about how is it attached to the roof. What about leaks? I was knocking on wood over there when he was mentioning it, because 2,200 installations, we've yet to have a roof leak. Because in the pamphlet that this manufacturer give us to, they test these things in pressurized water tanks that's equivalent to 70 feet of standing water. And they don't leak then, so if you have 70 feet of standing water, you're not worried about your roof leaking.
I think the big thing to talk about with the flashing and penetrations, the panels themselves do not sit directly on your roof. There's a racking system, and with this mounting system, there's minimal penetrations to set up these. They're basically a horizontal rail, right?
Correct.
And then
a couple inches off the roof.
Yep.
You don't want to flush your roof for a damming effect. When it rains, you want rain to be able to just run off the roof like normal. And also it helps keep them cool with airflow underneath.
Yep.
We're right into the roof trusses.
Yep.
Actually, we have north of Dayton, we have several arrays up there. Mm-hmm. They're all still there this morning, so
Yep.
that says something.
Sure.
They're rated to withstand 120 mile-an-hour straight line winds. I personally have 2 customers who have been hit directly by tornadoes in the last 5 years. Their solar arrays are still there.
Mark, I'll throw a question at you. What about just the load of the panels on the roof? Does it create any concerns?
It'll add about 4 pounds per square foot, which is about equivalent to a second layer of shingles. So it doesn't really add a lot of weight to your roof.
Okay.
3 inches of snow is a lot more weight than these panels add.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we have other options on how to mount them. If you have a flat roof, we would have to use a counterweight. I don't really want to penetrate that one, or like a membrane roof. Different roofs require different mounting. It's that simple. Standing seams are easy. They're clamped right onto the standing seam. And there's actually no roof penetrations in that one. The only one there's a couple roofs we can't install on, Spanish tile or those new metal roofs that look like fake little shingles, but they're just like steps. I don't know if you've seen those things, but there's nowhere to walk on them. You can't really put anything on them. But 99% of roofs, we can do something with it. The inverter is probably the only time you ever see one, because they're mounted behind each panel. But it's the most up-to-date one on the market is the IQ7 Plus, and that's the one we install in just about every installation we do. Made by Enphase. The other thing I would mention about Solarize is you guys even got a better deal now because some tariffs hit some of the chips in there.
Okay.
Everyone else, the price went up, but Solarize had stayed the same because of the agreement. Basically, they're assembled in California, but some of the chips and the computer components are made in China, and they got hit by tariffs. Right now, I'm sorry, I'll be right back to Mike in a second. She'd yell at me if I don't. I'm gonna have one of these out, if you can have them out. We use currently the top one. They are made by Hanwha. They're called QCells. They're 315 watts. As this image's spec sheet is being passed around, you'll see that they are solid black. They don't have those little white diamonds between the cells on the slide there.
I think we have a picture of the QCells at the end.
Production warranty. And they're just a very, very good panel overall. They're engineered in Germany. The other option is the LG. What I like to point out here, LG is a premium panel. It's like getting a Mercedes instead of a Ford, car. You get a little bit more power per panel, but if you look at the cost, 6.3 kW at $16,000 or 6.1 at $20,000, you're still getting 6 kilowatts. Is that important to you? Is basically what I look into. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have a longer product warranty, but it's still 6 kilowatt hours.
Yep.
99% of people pick the standard QCell.
Yeah, especially now that the QCell has the I'd say actually a better aesthetic right now than the LG.
I
Yeah.
think so.
In prior years, we have had the white on blue panels for the standard panels. This year, Icon offering the QCell panel is really a boon to everyone. The only other time I would suggest an LG panel is when you're area constrained. Maybe you have a smaller roof.
As much power as you can.
You're trying to pack as much in as possible. Otherwise, I would say the QCell is a much more effective and certainly a cost-effective option.
Any questions about that? These are two options we have now. We can get others, but honestly, QCells are fantastic solar panels. They're the ones that they'll be 85% in year 25 rather than 80.
We already talked about warranties. What's that?
That's the top one, panel
Oh,
production
sorry.
warranty. You haven't updated that one.
All right, I'll work on that.
It's 85% the panel production warranty. Product warranty is 12 years. That's the physical warranty of the thing. It's just basically they sit there. So if you remember, warranties are for defects. You're going to find that quicker than 12 years. An inverter, again, is a 25-year warranty. We as Icon, we do have an option. We can talk about that individually if you have the consultation. We can extend both of those, all three of them, to 30 years.
Okay,
I don't want to get into too much detail there because we have that as an exclusive.
that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, and every system we install offers the option of individual panel monitoring through any web-enabled device, smartphone, tablet, laptop, what have you.
Okay.
It's really nice because if you got a panel out, you'd probably want to know about it. It's supposed to send you an email. That way you can let us know about it and we can fix it. But there's less than a 1% return rate on them, so we'll see. So most of these, I think most of these we've done.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Do you want me to talk about them or?
I'm trying to remember. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, the one on the right, I know I sold.
Yep. So the reason for this slide is because the idea, especially with Solarize, is not to put as many solar panels as possible on your roof. Okay. While the initial assessment is an analysis of roof potential, of area potential, when you start working with your solar installer with Icon, the big issue is how much do you need? Okay, there's no point in really oversizing a system. It's because of that huge upfront cost. It's just going to push your return on investment out further. So here's two perfect examples. The example on the left has 12 panels at 305 watt panels. So they're making a little over 4,000 kilowatt hours in production a year. The cost on that after tax was $7,100. I'm sorry, I guess almost $7,200. But that's covering almost 90% of their energy production for the year. This is an empty nester family or a couple with a smaller home. They're traveling a lot, so they're not using as much electric as someone else may be. Conversely, you have the family of 5 on the other side who have more than double the panels, double the system size. That is also hitting over 90% of their energy usage. Okay, so Again, the big thing here is make sure that you're tailoring your solar panel, your solar array system to match your needs. Okay, and then these are just going to be some pictures of some installations in and around the area. Let's see here. Oh, slides are moving on me now. That's actually a blue on white, so it's got the white background with the blue panels. Kind of the same as you see here. This is, I'm trying to think, is that in Hyde Park? I'm trying to remember where that's at. That's all the same Those are all.
I'm not sure about that one. That's not one of
Yeah,
mine.
that's a flat roof installation, so you can see the ballasts. Yep. This is in Price Hill. You can see the solar panels on the back of that. That's a standing seam roof.
I like that one because it
Yep.
shows like even a metal roof that doesn't, roof didn't need to be replaced yet, but we can still put pole.
Absolutely. Yep. This one is, I believe that's Northern Kentucky, and that's on a standing seam roof. This is actually over the Rhine, so you might not even see it at first, but it's the second building from the left. There is actually an angled roof. You can see it on the roof pitch there. Okay. Can't quite remember where that is. Again, that's the blue on white. This is the one I want to show you. So this is actually the QCell panels that we're doing now. This is a very tight installation of the roof line. You'll notice that the installer is going to keep the edge of the panels back a little bit from the edge of the roof. Again, that's to prevent any wind from catching that edge. But that's a better example of what the panels this year are going to look like. Okay. And then I throw this one on here, not so much as a warning, but as a discussion topic. There are other technologies, other solar technologies than panels. Okay, we get questions about the Tesla solar shingles. This is actually a microfilm that is for. I want to say this one again is in Northern Kentucky, and it's a microfilm that's trying to blend in with the standing seam roof on a historic building. I talk about cutting edge in some of my presentations, and then I talk about bleeding edge. And some of these technologies like Tesla's solar shingles, first off, they're not in the market here yet, but they're not quite ready either because your production per square foot is going to be significantly reduced, and then you're going to pay a premium for the newer technology, the micro. Trying to think how to even explain it.
The reason we use microinverters is each panel will now work independently of the others. Older technology, the panels would have to be strung together. The best analogy I have is think about Christmas tree lights in the 80s. If one goes out, they all go out. If one's shaded, they're all acting like they're shaded. We use microinverters so we can eliminate that. So if one panel goes down, the rest of them are still doing their job. But I don't understand how they can do that with the solar roof or that one or anything else. They also, that one that he just showed is much less efficient than a panel in terms of how much it produces per square foot. So.
If you are looking at solar panels from a financial standpoint, then obviously you want to reduce your ROI as much as possible. Solar panels are the tried and true and most reliable solar technology, which is one of the reasons why we're putting that forth as part of the Solarize program. So next steps. Here are some key dates in order to take advantage of that 30% tax credit for this year and to get the pricing that's locked in for Solarize 2019. June 30th, you need to contact the Greater Cincinnati Energy Alliance either by signing up out there for the free solar assessment or again by going online to solarizecincy.org and signing up for that assessment. Okay, that has to be done before June 30th. In that interval time between then and August 31st, you need to be working with a solar installer and get that pricing locked in via a signed contract. Okay, the installation, because of how many projects are on the schedule at this point in time, will probably be pushed out past that, but it has to be installed before December 31st and you're going to work with your solar installer to ensure that that happens. That's the only way that you're going to be guaranteed the 30% tax credit.
First come, first serve, so.
Yep. All right. That is actually the contact information for our Director of Operations. I do have my cards out there. Again, my name is Skylar Miller, and I'm happy to field any questions you guys may have now, or you can shoot me an email or call me. All right?
Yes, sir.
And I know we're somewhat short on time. I see some folks coming back, but if anyone has questions, we'd be happy to take them now.
Electric panel? Yes, the solar, when it's installed, goes directly from the solar into the electrical panel. Most often, yes. It is, depends on the size of your panel and the size of the array, but there's ways around it. We can either tie into the bottom or do what's called a line side tap. So there's really no change on your side, it's just how we connect. But most often, we connect directly into the circuit breakers.
Just a general question, can this program be applied if you're considering building a house and having it incorporated, and you can still get the credit
Yes, you can, and we would just need the contract signed by,
for this year?
yes, and installed this year.
Okay.
So I don't know how far along you are. We can talk about that when it's an individual thing. Yes, sir.
My 25-year shingle guarantee is 15 years into that 25 years. So what happens in 10? Do I have to go up and take my solar panels down and put my new roof on?
Not necessarily, obviously. The side with the panels will have a lengthened life of those panels because they're not going to be in the sun drying out in it. But if you do need to replace your roof, the panels can be removed and reinstalled. We do offer that service. We can talk about that individual basis, but I can't give you exact numbers or anything.
The other thing I would talk about with roof replacements, if your roof does need replaced before you go to the expense and trouble of having an installer place those panels, the portion of your roof that is related to the solar project, those costs can be rolled into the federal tax credit. So if 25% of your roof is being covered in solar panels, then that's the area that needs replaced.
Maybe.
Add
Doctor
that.
count.
Fair enough, fair enough. But in general, and I have spoken to accounts, that can be worked out. So can upgrades if you do need those, your electric panel or electric wiring in your home upgraded to facilitate that. A portion of that is going to be eligible. Okay, any other questions?
Have you had any experience with homeowner associations and whether these type of projects can get approved or not?
We've had lots of, obviously, lots of experience with homeowners. Some are fine with it. Some we have to make our case. It depends on individual homeowners association. I couldn't really say anything specific. Usually they're okay if it's on the back of the house or not seen from the street. It depends on the orientation of your house, kind of thing.
Greater Cincinnati Energy Alliance also works with a number of communities in the area. One of our primary methods for rolling out our programs is having a partnership with the local government. We have provided guidance to the local governments for their historic preservation and zoning codes as far as how to effectively regulate solar panel placement while still facilitating that, out to homeowners. We've had some interactions with HOAs as well, but it's really case by case.
Well, a storm like what predicted yesterday, you talked about wind, but you didn't say anything about hail.
It's so unlikely that hail would damage solar panels, but just like any other part of the house, they are covered by your homeowner's insurance. We do recommend you tell your insurance company that you have solar panels. Most often, we don't see an increase of rate, big one at all. I've had one person pay an extra $30 a year, I think, or something like that for their insurance. But 2017, hailstorm came through the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. They're the ones that provide a lot of the information that we base these on. They have a test facility in Boulder, Colorado. Hail about 2.5 inches thick fell across the area. Out of almost 3,200 solar panels, one had damage. I'd be just so unlikely that it's, but I think we're running out of time.
Yeah, out of respect for the board of trustees, I'd like to kind of end this. We can certainly answer any questions you may have outside. I want to thank everyone for coming.